Hello and welcome back to our Save a Seat series here on Patreon. We are continuing our Issue 9 Identity Contributor Chats, where we sit down with our contributors and we talk about what their articles meant to them, how it all came together, and what it means. So we dig deeper with those contributors to find out the nitty-gritty. So I am joined once again by Sarah and Lesley, who worked on this wonderful piece that talks about their involvement with Counterpart and what equity and technology in business means to their businesses. So thank you guys both so much for joining me again.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So we definitely got on a great roll talking about Counterpart in the Spotify episode. So if you are listening to this and you haven't listened to that episode, make sure to go check that out so that you know what we're talking about in this one. But I would love to get back into it a little bit. Lesley, you gave us a wonderful kind of elevator pitch for Counterpart and what they do for businesses. But I would love to get a little bit into how they have helped you guys achieve your specific missions and how that plays into the technology that you guys use, because I know you both have platforms and technology that your businesses utilize to help you achieve your mission. So what has your experience been like with that?
Do you want to take this one, Sarah?
Yeah, I can jump in on this one. So a little bit of the backstory with our relationship with Counterpart is, we have been operating for several years with no desires to design technology, to have technology as a part of our company. What was happening was, in our mission statement, we talk about institution by institution toward a student-ready world, really focused on the fact that if institutions of higher education don't change, then students' lives are not going to change. So that is the unit of change for us. We had an internal debate talking about, institution by institution, but at that point in time, there was only 3 of us that worked there. Like, how are we going to go institution by institution?
Right.
And this is actually a problem that our whole field is trying to tackle. Like, how do we serve more? How do we do depth and breadth at the same time? And I think rather than walking away from that tagline, we just decided, well, we're just going to figure out a way to make that work. So that was kind of what led us down the path of technology. And I know we had talked with Jason at Counterpart and with Drew pretty early in that process. And they had a lot of questions about, like, who are your users? What do you need the technology to do? And we didn't have a lot of those answers. So we kind of went back to the drawing board and figured some stuff out and then went back to them. And I agree with what Lesley said in the Spotify episode, that they just, once we had a general concept of what we needed to build, they were such great partners in asking all the right questions. Every Monday we had our sprint meeting, and there were a lot of questions we had to think through and we had to answer. And they didn't just pose the questions, they really helped us think through what choices we had and what the implications of our choices were and all of that. And it was just, it took not as much time as you would expect to actually build our platform and get it ready to launch. So I think, really for us, that whole partnership helped to facilitate greater reach for us, more outcomes, and really helped us drive toward our mission in a bigger way. So we're really excited about the direction that did take, although I never woke up saying, like, I would be a tech mogul when I grow up.
Right.
I don't really want to be.
You just never know what's going to happen, especially when you partner with somebody that's so capable of making that happen for you, right? So
That's
Lesley,
so true.
you gave him the pitch, but what was that experience like for you, building that platform and using it?
So it was very methodical. It was very intentional. It was slower than I intended it to be, but that's kind of how it needs to be to make sure that all the parts and pieces are correct. And I actually really appreciate the method to the madness to make sure that everything works. There are no bugs. Everything is exactly just so. Unlike Sarah's company, ours is a tech company. Without the technology, we don't exist.
Yeah.
So ours is entirely reliant on the Counterpart team to make what we envision come to life. So they without them, even though we're the subject matter experts, we can only tell them what the recipe should be. They have to cook it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we are reliant on them for what we do. And they kind of have to come to the table as full partners for us. And they always have.
Yeah. Sounds like they definitely do every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, big shout out to them. Thank you for partnering with us on this and for helping you guys achieve your mission. So I would love to kind of pick your guys' brain because, you both work in this sector. It's part of your mission statements, but why does diversifying matter? Whether that's, diversifying your business, your suppliers. Lesley, you touched on this a little bit, but, why is it important for universities to look at their policies and make sure that their student bodies are diverse? Just what does that mean?
I love this question. I think it's really, it's a hard question to boil an answer down for, almost because it's so obvious that sometimes it's a hard answer. If we don't diversify, whether it's like getting people who disagree with us, if we don't eat different foods, if we don't do, like I was giving the retirement example, we become an echo chamber for ourselves. And I think, and I will say in this group, like, don't tell anyone else, women tend to be better about doing that, right, than men. I want, like, when I was leading a state agency, right, I always said to my leadership team, like, disagree with me. It's okay.
Right.
And I think for that reason, like, hearing different, you don't have to agree with the disagreeing idea. But if I hear an idea or listen to a background or story that's different than mine, like, it can inform the idea. Maybe it makes me feel more confident in my position or more, but it may also be like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. Like, maybe that's why we do it this way, or maybe I should take a different perspective. And I think sometimes people fear hearing that different perspective, listening to a different story, because they think it will erode the story, the perspective, the lens that they currently have. Mm-hmm. Whereas, at least my angle is, first of all, I'm wrong all the time, so I don't really worry about taking in new information. But I also think, so I basically anticipate being wrong. But I also think that hearing a different story could literally shore up my current opinion, perspective, angle, lens, whatever. So I think that's why, for me, it's so important.